So today we're talking about being in the same boat, and so it matters who's in your boat. How many of you guys know it matters who you hang out with? I don't know about you, but most of the time I've ever gotten in trouble, I was with other people. Well, let me make it, because I'm going to put the cookies a little lower. Most of the time I've ever gotten in trouble, I was always with the wrong people, right? Okay? And so this is really important. So I'm going to give you 3 pieces of wisdom, okay? These are you can apply these anywhere. 3 pieces of wisdom, just real quick, is relying on emotions to make your point is manipulation. If your argument is all about emotions, that's manipulation. If people use emotions to manipulate their point because they think that you're not smart enough to figure it out. Interchangeable wisdom there. Statement number 2, defining who you are by what makes you happy is selfish and shallow. Because I am not what makes me happy, because there's some stuff that I like that doesn't always make me happy, right? So I'm more than the emotion of the moment. So when we define ourselves, well, this is who I am because this is what makes me happy, that's shallow. Statement number 3, truly respecting others that you say matter to you will change the way that you live. If it doesn't change the way that you live, they don't matter to you as much as you say that they do. Okay? So with that in mind, who's in your boat actually matters a lot. With the right people in your boat, things go well. With the wrong people in your boat, things don't go well. If you are in the wrong boat, anybody ever been in the wrong boat? Okay? It does. So watch this. Here's how it goes. So the right people will help you, the wrong people will hurt you. Think about it. Here's what it says, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. He who walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools suffers harm. Here's the Dave version. If you hang out with smart people, you could possibly get smarter. No guarantee, but increases your chances. If you hang out with dumb people, somebody says, "Did you get dumber?" No, that's not possible. They will hurt you. Things won't go well. Okay, so now I consider myself a pretty resourceful guy. I can do some things, and I have some talents, and I do pretty good, and kind of creative. But some stuff I want to be good at, I'm just not good at. How many of you guys know there's stuff that you're not good at? For instance, I love to sing. Don't be laughing. I haven't told you yet. But I'm not good at it. I like it. I'm loud, apparently. But our worship team asked me not to sing. No, I'm not making this up. They did. In a really loving, hurtful way. Oh, so Pastor, we love you, but. And every time they put a but in there, they said, don't come up here and sing with us because you mess us up. So I'm just not good at it. So now, if you're around me very much, you know I really like the nautical stuff, and you know I kind of gather the lighthouse thing because I think that's kind of who we are. That we're a light that helps keep people from crashing on the beach and that kind of stuff. I love being at the coast. I love the smell of salty air. I love the scene where boats are tied to their moorings, and I just really like that. And matter of fact, even as a boy, I actually was a surfer before they were cool. Yeah, back in the olden days, you know. But to be really honest, I really don't know that much about boats. I don't. Matter of fact, if I were on the open sea, I would become one of those news stories. Because I have no idea how to navigate the open sea. I don't know anything about it, man. And I have no idea what it takes to cast the net into the water and catch fish. I don't. So if you put me on a commercial fishing boat, I would have no clue what to do. I could try to act the part. I would try to probably look good. I would probably get one of their hats and just make that thing happen. And I would try to help out just a little bit, but it wouldn't be long before you would look and figure out this guy has no idea what he's doing. Right? Okay? And so it might be fun, but I don't belong on a fishing boat. I don't belong on a fishing boat. I'm not supposed to be in that boat. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. For us, for our lives, we find ourselves sometimes in places and circumstances where we don't belong. Anybody ever been in a place where you know you don't belong there? Anybody been in a situation where something like, oh, this is not going to be good? Not going to be good. It's going to go bad, right? And so now we can try to fit in. We can try to act the part. We can try to like fake it till you make it kind of stuff. But inside we know that this is not who we're supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be in that boat. Are you guys catching on now? Okay, so we're going to talk about that just a little bit now. Now, when I was a young boy, I was trying to fit in with the bigger boys. And so one day we stole a pack of my dad's cigarettes. I ain't going to do that. Come on. You guys are too dramatic, too dramatic. And so we stole the pack of my dad's cigarettes. Now, my dad smoked Pall Malls. Hardcore, okay. And he smoked like 5 packs a day. That you got to be committed. You know. And so he really didn't notice, a few. So we stole some of his Pall Malls. We snuck into the backyard, and we're behind the house, and we I'm just messing with you guys. So we started smoking. I'm hanging out with the big boys, and so I'm smoking. I take a puff and blow it out. Take a puff and blow it out. We passed it around like it was a joint, We're just didn't see that coming, did you? Right? And so what we didn't realize is that that gentle breeze was blowing that smoke up into the open window. And my little brother peeked out, saw what we were doing, and went and told Dad. Mysteriously, he was beat up later that day. Yeah, I just must have been neighborhood kids or something. I don't know. So my dad came out and he caught us smoking. Take a puff, blow it out. So his cure to cure little boys from smoking was to make little boys smoke. Does that sound stupid? Except he didn't want us to take a puff and blow it out and try to look cool. He wanted us to do the real deal. Take a puff. Draw that fire down into your little boy lungs. And cough and gag and wheeze and vomit to get that fire out of your body. Because your little boy lungs did not like anything about that smoke. Why would you want to suck on a forest fire? What is the deal? And I'm here to tell you that because my dad did that, I didn't smoke until I was 13. But see, here's the thing. I was a little boy trying to fit in with the big boys, so I got into the wrong boats and was doing things that I should not be doing, trying to be who I wasn't supposed to be. You guys get what I'm talking about today, right? Okay, so I'm not supposed to be in that boat. There was a younger son in Luke chapter 15, the younger son of 2, and he goes to his dad. He said, Dad, I want to go out on my own. I don't want to be under the rules anymore. I want to prove I'm somebody. I want to live this kind of a life. I want to go out there and do what I want to do. And he found himself in a place that he had never been, doing what he never thought he'd ever do, and living like he never thought he would ever live. You see, until he came to his senses. See, there's nobody that can force you. There's nobody that can compel you. There's nobody that can talk you into anything. It's not until you or I, when we realize that we're in the wrong boat and we come to our senses. He came to his senses. See, he didn't need help. He needed out. When someone is living the prodigal life, and someone is making themselves at home in the pig pen, helping them in the pig pen doesn't help them in the pig pen. Right? So it's that personal revelation that comes to us where we realize this is not who I'm supposed to be. See, here's what I know, and I really want to make this point. There is an internal uneasiness. Is that a good way to describe that? If you've ever been in a place and something is not right, you know that you're not supposed to be. It's like, oh, this is not good. There's a internal uneasiness. Anybody ever felt that internal uneasiness? Like, oh, this is not good, and you're just in that spot. See, that's where you come to yourself. Now that kind of describes like the same temptation with Jesus in Luke chapter 4, verse 9, where the devil told him, if you are who you say you are, then jump. Now, I'm not talking about suicide. Who would I talk about? Now, I don't know about you, but I've jumped into stuff I should have never jumped into. Anybody ever done that? I've jumped onto stuff I never should have jumped onto. I found myself involved in stuff like, oh man, what was I thinking? It's a bad idea. Trying to prove that I'm somebody to a whole bunch of nobodies. That doesn't even make any sense, right? So now here's the thing. My curiosity today is what makes normally stable people, relatively speaking. Now think about it, really. I mean, would you consider yourself normal? I mean, I know you're arguing with yourself right now, which is not normal. But why would normally stable people jump? What makes a good son become a prodigal son? What makes a good girl spin out there and become the mean girl? What makes a good husband and father become the absent husband and father? What makes a loving wife and mom become a bitter woman? You guys know what I'm talking about? What is it that causes us to come to the edge and we hear that voice whispering in our head and tells us to jump out of that? Am I getting any further here? You see, Jesus chose not to jump, not because he was powerful, but because he had a greater purpose. He realized that there's more to it than just that moment, right? See, I think what can push good people like you and I to the edge where we feel like we want to jump is when something is supposed to work and it doesn't work. Something you put all your life into and it's just not producing results, or something is supposed to change and it doesn't change, or something is not supposed to change and it does change. That just pushes it to the edge where it's like, man, we're good people like you and me. We find ourselves looking over the edge and a voice whispering in our head and tells us to jump. Not always from a high place, but we jump. So we jump out of a place because there's too much conflict. Anybody ever been there? Okay. We jump onto a problem because we're frustrated and we overreact. Any overreactors in the room? I'm going to beat everybody in the house and then I'm going to ask questions. Come on now, you know. I'm going to accuse you of doing all this stuff. And then I'm going to ask if it's true. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. All right. See, where you jump onto stuff or you jump into what you're afraid to lose, even though everything in you says it's a bad idea. Or you jump to conclusions because emotions are high and trust is low. We all know what it is to step to the edge. Be tempted to jump. Am I telling you the truth? Okay. So Jesus showed up and he shook up the whole religious world when he changed religion into relationships. Messed everything up. So he fed thousands of people. He taught the multitudes. He healed hundreds. He sent out dozens of people, but he only discipled 12. He took a small group of men from every corner of society and turned them into world-changing men. A small group. You guys get what I'm saying? A small group. That's how they became world changers. In fact, you should probably remember that. Okay? The name of these 12 men is scattered throughout the New Testament. There's Simon Peter, who we talk about a lot. His partner and brother, his name was Andrew, and they had partners in business, two other brothers, the sons of Zebedee. They were James and John. There was Philip, Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel. There was Thomas, doubting Thomas, Matthew the tax collector, James the Less. There was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot. 12 guys, 12 men. Out of these 12, 4 of them were fishermen. The other 8 were just this ragtag bunch where there's a tax collector, there's a thief, there's like this really, just a really weird group of guys. So in John chapter 21, Jesus has been arrested. He's been beaten and he's been killed. The 12 guys scatter. Simon Peter embarrassingly responds and cusses out a little girl. Yay, Simon. Good job. You're tougher than a little girl. I'm so proud of you. Judas Iscariot kills himself. Do you think you've had a bad day at work? Where is everybody? They all called in. One killed himself. One of them over there, he's having an argument with a little girl. What a mess. That's a bad day. And 3 days later, a dead Jesus becomes a living Jesus, and he starts showing up in these random places. It is just way confusing, right? So these guys, since they could no longer follow Jesus and hang out with him, they do what a lot of people do. They go back to doing what they used to do. So they go fishing. Now hang on. So when we're confused and we don't know what to do, sometimes we do what we used to do. When we're confused and we don't know what to do, sometimes we'll call that guy up. Sometimes when we're confused and we don't know what to do, we'll go by her house. Sometimes when we're confused and we don't know what to do, we'll go hang out with those guys. Say, wait a minute, Pastor, I'm not sinning. I didn't say you were. Why are you so defensive, bro? Here's what it says in John chapter 21 and verse 2. Simon Peter, Thomas called Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, that's James and John, and 2 other disciples were together. That's 7 guys. I'm going out to fish, Simon Peter told them, and they said, we'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Now, I know how the story goes. I know that Jesus showed up. I know that they threw the net on the other side to fill with fish. I know that Simon Peter jumped in the water and swam to Jesus. I know that he restored them when they thought everything was lost. But what I don't know, why were they fishing? Why did these men who had walked with Jesus for 3.5 years, seen miracles, seen the dead raised up, dang, blinded eyes open, the deaf will hear, miracle after miracle after miracle. They've seen him confronted by all the religious people, and after all of that, you go fishing? Is that insane? So why did these guys go fishing? So here's the deal. So out of the remaining 11, because Judas killed himself, 7 of the 11 got into the same boat, okay? Simon Peter said, I'm going fishing. The other 6 guys said, okay, we're going too. Okay? Now, out of these 7 guys, I know 3 for sure knew how to be fishermen. Simon Peter, the 2 sons of Zebedee, James and John. And maybe if one of the unnamed guys was Andrew, his brother, so maybe at best there's 4, okay? 4 of these guys know what they're doing. The other 3 don't know what they're doing. Now, for these 4 guys or these 3 guys, it's a familiar statement of, I'm going back, it didn't work out, I tried, good try, great memories, lots of fun, but that's it, going back to reality, right? Now, here's the deal. If that's what you're thinking, if you're thinking of going back to who you used to be, back to what you used to do, there is no back there, back there. Listen, there is no back there, back there. You say, oh man, I want to visit the old neighborhood. The only thing about the old neighborhood is old memories, because, my friend, there is no back there, back there. If you try to go back to your neighborhood and you open the door to where you used to live, somebody is going to call the cops and you'll go to jail. Because there is no back there, right? So here's the deal. So if you don't burn the bridges, you probably won't ever really cross them. And you'll find yourself wrestling back and forth between you 2 lifestyles. But if you burn the bridges, there will be no back there. Back there. As a matter of fact, what will happen is just what happened to these guys. That night they caught nothing. The old life won't produce old results. That's why if you try to do the old life, you'll have to do it harder. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about? You'll have to be a better sinner. That just sounds stupid, doesn't it? Because there is no back there, back there. You just have to go deeper, right? So here's the deal. So my really big question, the really big question, it's not those guys that used to fish going back to fishing. Because Simon Peter knew it wasn't working. You don't think Simon Peter was thinking, yeah, hey, it works this way every time. Of course, we always catch nothing. If you go back to what you used to do, you know it's not working. Check this out, because I know that some of us have a testimony. You ever tried something and it didn't work? Couldn't get drunk, couldn't get high? You ever tried something that used to be fun, it's not fun anymore? You ever tried something you used to get away with and didn't get away with it? Okay? Because there is no back there, back there. So my question isn't, why do people that used to fish go back to fishing? Now here's the thing. This isn't casting out a line, sitting on a bank, and waiting for a fish to grab hold. This is grabbing big old heavy sneaky nets and throwing it out and dragging it back, throwing it out and dragging. This is hard work. So the question that I have today isn't why do fishermen go back to fishing? Why do people go back to old lifestyles? But here's my question. Why do people that have never fished decide that now they're going to fish? Isn't that weird? Right? Why do young men from good homes find themselves living with pigs? Why do young men and young women make choices, live lifestyles that leave their life in ruins? Am I getting through? Why do good men give up on good lives? Why do good women's hearts get cold, hard, and bitter? How did you end up in that boat? How did you get to that place? What happened? I mean, these guys, they've followed Jesus faithfully for 3.5 years. They've seen a whole lot of stuff. How do you go from that to this? It's when we lose hope. When we get our eyes on stuff and it doesn't work out. When things are just harder than they seem to be. We get tired, we get worn out, we get stressed. It just seems like a bad idea. So here's what I'm saying for you and I as we wrap this up. Don't be who you were never meant to be. Say, well, I used to do that. No, that's not who you were meant. Just because you were stupid a while does not mean you were born to be stupid. Come on now, Don't be who you were never meant to be. Don't embrace what you were never meant to hold. Don't settle for a life that you were never meant to live. Check this out. This is Earl's guitar. I asked. I'm doing it wrong, huh? I don't know. Show me how. You made that look easy. Now, I did try to learn to play the guitar at one time. You know what I found out? I'm not a musician. As a matter of fact, I'm not musically inclined at all. I actually had somebody ask me one time, what's your playlist? Tag. Earl's good at this. He's really good at this. Earl's a musician. I'm a pastor. Earl's a good musician. Oh, hallelujah. Thanks, Earl. I'm not good at throwing nets and commercially fish. I'm not going to be good at that. Why? Because this is not my boat. This is not who I am. This is not what God wants me to do. I want to be who God wants me to be and do what God wants me to do. I don't want to get in the wrong boat, and I don't want the wrong people in my boat. Is this making any sense at all? I'm pretty good at being me. Luke chapter 15, verse 17. The prodigal son. It says when he finally, everybody say finally. When he finally came to his senses. There's an opportunity for you to kind of nudge the person next to you and say, you pay real close attention here. Come to your senses. When he came to his senses, he said to himself, at home, even the hired men have food enough and to spare. And here I am, dying of hunger. At home. In my boat. In my life, where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to live in a pig pen. I'm not supposed to be in a boat throwing out a net that I've never held before in my life. I'm not supposed to be that kind of a man. I'm not supposed to be that kind of a woman. He finishes with 4 words, and I want you to get these 4 words. These 4 words will revolutionize your life. If you find yourself in a place where there's that internal uneasiness, come on, somebody, you know what I'm talking about, that internal uneasiness. You're saying something's not right, something's not okay, something wrong in my life, something wrong in my heart, something's wrong with the way things are going. There's 4 words that will change your life. I will go home. I don't belong here. I don't belong living this way. And again, there's nothing sinful about fishing unless you're supposed to be doing something else. See, the question isn't, am what I'm doing sending me to hell? Am what I'm doing, is it preparing me for what God has for me? If it's not, my friend, I'm going to get out of that boat and I'm going to go to where Jesus is so He can redeem me and put things back on track. I will go home. I'm not going fishing for a life I was never meant to live. Well, it's got to be here someplace. I'm going to go home. Now listen, this is super important. Going home is not about making apologies. It's not about stepping down. It's not about giving up. Going home is about re-engaging the process. Go home so the process can prepare you for the promise that is in you. Go home so the process can prepare you for the promise that's already in you. Go home so the process can prepare you for the promise that is in you. The reason there's that uneasiness is because you are not ready to be who you're supposed to be. You are not where you think that you're supposed to be. So go home so the process can help develop who you're supposed to be. So I'm going to go back to being who I'm supposed to be. Stop trying to be who I was never meant to be. See, now listen. This is not permission to fall prey to your weakness. Well, this is just who I am. Come on. This is about rising up in your strength. The prodigal son said, I will arise. I'm going to go back to my father's house. You say, I've sinned against you and against heaven. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. And the father, while he was still a great way off, ran to meet him, threw his arms around his neck, kissed his cheek, threw a robe around his shoulders, put shoes on his feet, killed the fatted calf, and they celebrated. My son, who was dead, has now been made alive. He has come home. Home! The enemy of your soul wants you to think that you'll be rejected, because he doesn't want you to know that you'll be celebrated. The angels in heaven today are already rejoicing. They're already cheering. They're already gathering around the throne singing your praises. Because they already know what's stirring in you. They already know that it's there. They see that inside you've already started taking steps and coming back. Is this making sense? I'm not supposed to be in that boat. So I'm going to get out of that boat, and I'm going to go back to where Jesus is. I'm going to surrender my will to his and let him restore what I thought was lost. I'm going home. Friends, don't try to fit in where you're supposed to stand out. Could I get you to bow your heads and close your eyes for just a moment, please? I think there's some people in this room where there's that internal uneasiness. You might have even called it unhappy. You may have called it confused. You may have labeled it angry or hurt. There's an internal uneasiness. Today you're coming to your senses. Something is rising up inside of you. And you realize that you're not supposed to be in that place. It's not necessarily a location. Sometimes it's a place in your head. I'm not supposed to think this way. I'm not supposed to feel this way. I'm not supposed to be this down on myself. I'm not supposed to be this upset. I'm not supposed to be this depressed. I will go home. So while everybody's head is bowed, everybody's eyes are closed. Today there's not a doubt in your mind that Jesus is talking to you. Could you just show him your hand and say, yeah, that's me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody, you got some stuff in your life, say, you know what, I got to do something about this. I'm not supposed to be like this. I'm not supposed to live like this. I'm not supposed to think like this. I'm not supposed to feel like this. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Show me your hand. Say, man, that's me, Pastor Dave. That's where I'm at. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One last question. Anybody feel like that you're just a really long way from Jesus right now and you just need to find your way back? Show me your hand. Show me your hand. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Could y'all stand to your feet, please? Don't try to fit in where you're supposed to stand out. Some people say, well, I don't fit in there. Awesome. I like groups not liking me that shouldn't like me. I lost you. I can tell already. I lost you. I make some people uncomfortable. That makes me happy. That make sense? Because my spirit kind of checks theirs. I don't want to fit in. I'm supposed to stand out. Okay? Today, my friend, I'm going to repeat this. There is no back there, back there. The thing about life, there's no reverse. Unless you're watching like a movie or something, you know. God's plan for you and I is to step forward. If you find yourself standing on the edge, and there's a voice whispering in your head to jump, today we're going to step back. I'm going to let Jesus do what only Jesus can do.